Let's talk about Drupal versus WordPress and vice versa. WordPress is still the leader in admin experience when you're creating websites. It's very easy for the marketers or whoever is using it to get around and do what they need. With great flexibility comes great responsibility, and that flexibility can sometimes be a detriment to the site. So as you get into larger, more complex websites, with things like complex content needs. So you've got a complex course catalog or content that comes from microservices or REST or multiple levels of permission on content for different user roles, complex search experiences, for example. That's when you start to get into more of the Drupal. It would be better to do this in Drupal. Also, authenticated users. If you got a site that has a large authenticated user base, Drupal still your best bet on that. Complex customization requirements. You've got to build something that interfaces with third-party apps, and WordPress is good at that for some things, but really complex custom interfacing, Drupal might be the best bet for that. Same thing for any integrations with web services, microservices, complex integration with an iPhone app, pulling content back and forth, maybe Drupal's a better bet. And then for more enterprise situations, especially if you're updating and adding features to the site all the time, configuration management in Drupal is extremely important. The ability to make changes on a development environment and export your changes to configuration or code, and then deploy that through a proper release process. Drupal's the way to go. In WordPress, I saw a few workarounds for this, but it's really not as robust as Drupal's deployment infrastructure. More enterprise, think Drupal, beyond the simple news and content focused sites. And then security requirements that are a bit more strict. Drupal can be the winner on this, especially if you have PCI compliance requirements. You need to do some sort of database encryption or whatever it may be. And then also the fact that WordPress is just so popular right now. It suffers from the Microsoft versus Apple thing. So many Microsoft computers in the world, that means that they tend to get hacked more because there are more of them. And WordPress is definitely suffering from that. However, WordPress, you can make it just as secure as Drupal if you follow the proper steps, do the proper security updates. There are even platforms that manage that for you, and then put a CDN and web application firewall in front of that. And one more thing where Drupal really tends to excel is if you're doing true personalization or making a digital experience platform out of this, where the content really has to be customized and changed based on the user or the actions that they take on the page or what segment they're coming from. Drupal is really the leader in this area. So let's talk about WordPress, basically everything else. So small to medium businesses, publications, e-commerce stores, startups, nonprofits. WordPress is really great for those. E-commerce, they've got WooCommerce, which is a plugin, but it's like plugging in an entire huge e-commerce functionality. It's not just a plugin. It's really full featured and customizable, and you can really do well with that. Some people compare it with Shopify. WooCommerce is a bit more code-based and customizable than that. Usability and flexibility, WordPress, just if you got something and you just want to get stuff done, or you just want to focus on digital marketing more than the code and layout and custom theme and making everything complex on the website. If you just want to get stuff done, WordPress is really great. You're starting a business or you already have a small business, startup, something like that. Great use case for that, nonprofit. And with that are the starter themes. WordPress just has a ton of different starter themes that are extremely varied and also easy to customize. So if you just want to get something up and running, use a pre-built theme, slap a skin or look on your website and get going, WordPress is great. Also, plugins, they're both good, but WordPress, of course, by being larger, sometimes just wins out on if you've got this eccentric little thing, WordPress probably has a plugin for it already. And of course, WordPress can run large sites. Big news sites use WordPress. So it's not a size or traffic type question. It's more about how complex the website is and what you're doing with it. And also, both can live happily together, right? On college campuses, sometimes we'll see WordPress being used for the student groups and smaller one-off projects, and then Drupal being used for the department websites or the main homepage. And they both run on PHP, and they're great hosting platforms like Pantheon, where you can run both of them on the same hosting platform. So you don't always have to think about one versus the other. Sometimes in an ecosystem, they can work well together. And if you have a developer that knows how to maintain one, it's pretty easy for them to learn the other. So if you're trying to make a choice between the two, hopefully some of this has helped, but feel free to reach out to us, 08.agency. We can chat with you or help you make the decision. And hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks.